Hey there, adventurers, and welcome back to another episode of the Awkward Dungeon Master. This week I'm going to talk to you guys about the difference between theater of the mind and setting out a tactical battle map. So for those of you who do not know, theater of the mind is when you're sitting down for a Dungeons & Dragons game and all you have in front of you are the stats for your character, and all your DM has in front of them are these stats for the monsters and NPCs that are taking part in the game or the scene that you guys are acting out. I know a lot of people these days, including myself, love to use miniatures and battle maps and draw everything out for your players because it gives us something tactile and visual to see or engage with, and that's great. I obviously do a lot of that myself. I have an embarrassing amount of set pieces, and I really like to set up full 3D maps for big boss fights for my players because I think it just makes it a little bit more exciting. But that's just me. Theater of the mind is interesting because it requires you to kind of visualize everything that your dungeon master is saying, and it relies a lot on your dungeon master for descriptive words and things so that you can visualize what's going on in your head. And everybody kind of has to have a general idea of where everything is, and you're relying a lot on your dungeon master to answer questions about distances between you and enemies and things like that. So I have an example prepared for you guys, but I wanted to do theater of the mind first so that you can kind of get an idea of what it is that I'm going to be laying out, but you have no idea what it looks like in advance. So I don't want you guys to infer anything by seeing it beforehand. Like, I don't want you to use that visual structure to complete the mental image that I'm trying to portray. The example that I'm using was from a one-off that I ran when one of our dungeon masters was not going to be present at a game at the local store that we run games at. So I was just kind of filling in for the night and giving everybody something kind of fun to do. And one of the players requested a battle royale. So I really wanted to throw together a 3D map for them to kind of run around and play in whenever we went to, do that. So let's get a little cozy for a minute here. The last thing you remember is falling asleep in your camp in the middle of the darkened woods, the sounds of the wind rustling through the trees around you, or maybe the chirp of crickets, the fire crackling daintily in the background. But you've awoken in very unfamiliar territory. You appear to be in some sort of room with rough, cavernous walls. They're moist from humidity in the air, slick. In the center of the room is a shallow pool. As you kind of dip your toe in, it's maybe only 6 inches to a foot deep, but all around the pool there is a 20-foot wide walkway. At the corners, the stones are, everything in here is paving stones, except for the corners. The corners appear to be one large 10-foot square slab of stone. And in the center of the pool, the middle of the room, lies an altar. You can just make out the faint glimmering of gold inlaid runes around the edges of this altar. Also in the pool, spaced at regular intervals, are 4 pillars, perfectly carved from gray stone, and set with magical sconces, burning brightly, lighting up the entirety of this room. As you look around, you see your compatriots are also here, with determined and angry looks on your faces. I would like everyone to roll initiative. So that's something that would be done for theater of the mind. And I do some of that depending on the situation, just because it's not always time effective to draw out a map. So if you know that an encounter is going to be very short, or if it's a purely social encounter, there's not a whole lot of reason to take 15 to 20 minutes to lay out a big battle map or any kind of tactical layout. I wouldn't spend more than 3 to 5 minutes ever setting something up while we're playing. So if your players choose to go in a direction that takes them into some sort of battle, if the battle is going to be less than, I'd say, like 15-20 minutes, and it's going to take you more than 3 minutes to set it up, it's not worth it. Theater of the mind, that shit. It's way more worth your time. It's definitely going to help you hone your dungeon mastering skills if that is the part that you have to play in the game. Just describe everything for everybody. Do it off the cuff. Sometimes it even makes the pacing of the encounter much faster. So I definitely think even in today's play style, where everybody seems to be moving towards using a lot of maps and miniatures and 3D set pieces and things like that, there is still a place for theater of the mind. So keep that in your hip pocket as kind of a tool to use. We all need different tools for us to use whenever we're DMing. So we are comparing theater of the mind to tactical battle maps. So anytime I have a battle map prepped, I'll still kind of give a general intro to the space, but it is much more pared down, like way pared down from what I just did a second ago. Anytime I'm going to be using a tactical battle map, it's going to look more like, so you guys take your rest for the night, and as your eyes close, you find yourself in a strange place. And then I would get up from the table, and I would go get the pre-set up 3D map that I made. So this is an example of a 3D battle map that I threw together. I think this took me like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, the day that we played, just to kind of throw this together. I did it on a wild hair. I think everybody enjoyed it. I hope they did. I know my home game always really enjoys whenever I put together 3D maps. It definitely ramps up the excitement a little bit, and it gives you like a physical place to kind of play in, and yeah. Oh, and I guess I even forgot like the different types of stone. So, you know, there's some gray stone and some white stone, but I also laid within this, and this is much easier to do on a physical battle map than it is in Theater of the Mind. If you look at the map, which I'll give you a closer look here, I did describe these corner pieces. I forgot about these dark gray ones. These corner pieces, I flipped the tile over. So it's actually the smooth back of the piece. And then within the white sections, I also dropped in a couple gray pieces. It was obviously very deliberately done on my part. But if the players chose to take meaning in that, I had placed things around the room to help them. And that's kind of hard to describe verbally. And all the people that played, they didn't choose to investigate any of these things, but every single one of them told me that they noticed it. You can put stuff out there for your players, but you can't make them interact with it. Physical maps do give you the ability to put out little hints and things for stuff that is off-kilter or strange. So there's one of the reasons that sometimes I tend to prefer physical representations of the battle maps that are going on within my game. Like I said previously, though, there are reasons to do Theater of the Mind as well, but this is just a personal preference. If you guys prefer kind of the older style of DMing, where it's a lot of Theater of the Mind and very little of this going on at all, or if you have some cool maps like this that you want to show off, or you want to talk about something cool that you did in your home game that involved a physical map, throw those down below so we can talk about them. I would love to be able to chit-chat with you guys down in the comments. And until next time, keep it rolling, adventurers.